everyone, welcome back to my channel, Everlynn's Books and Tea. For today's video, we are going to be doing a 24-hour readathon, and we will be trying to get through more of my November TBR books. It's about halfway through November. Today's November 15th, and I've read pretty much 2 books. I'm almost done with the second book. So I have a lot of books left, and I'm hoping to get through at least several of them in this 24-hour readathon. So these are the books I have left, and then they of course have Kindle books associated with them. There's definitely some books I want to read on here that I'm hoping I will get. And how we are going to choose which books we read is we're going to use these envelopes. So each of these envelopes has a prompt that's associated with one or more of these books. And we are going to randomly choose an envelope, envelopes 1 through 5, and see which books we're going to start out with. It's a nice, sunny, but cold day outside, so it's the perfect day to kind of sit inside and get some reading done. So let's see what our first book is. So I'm going to use a random number generator with Siri and see which envelope we are going to open first. Alright, so I have Siri opened on my iPad. We're going to ask it to choose a random number 1 through 5, and we'll see which envelope we will be opening for the first book for this readathon. Choose a random number 1 through 5.
It's 5.
Alright, so Siri chose envelope number 5. Let me grab that. So here we have envelope number 5. And this prompt will correspond with one of these books here from when I did my November TBR game. And the prompt has fairies, witches, or magic. So for those who watched my November TBR game, that book corresponds with, or that prompt rather, corresponds with this book here, which is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. And then the Kindle book is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So these are 2 books that I really want to read, and I was having a difficult time choosing which one, but since I had The Cruel Prince on my TBR in October and didn't get to it, I feel like I should choose this one first. So the first book of this 24-hour readathon will be The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I will check in with you when I have gotten started on this book. So I've been reading for about 3 hours now. I'm about halfway through The Cruel Prince. I'm on page, I think, 187, somewhere in chapter 17. So almost pretty much exactly halfway through this book. I went into this book not really knowing much about it other than what was in the back, but that a lot of people highly recommend it, and I've definitely enjoyed reading it. It's an easy read, and it's definitely an entertaining read, and I'm glad I started out this readathon because I'm not being bored by this book, which is always a great thing. The beginning of the book kind of reminded me a little bit of Harry Potter, at least the first page, but then things took a drastic change, and it is nothing like Harry Potter. Right now, I'm at the point where Jude's love interest comes into play. That part I felt happened a little bit quickly. All of a sudden, he became her love interest. There wasn't too much leading up to it, but it's definitely an interesting match, and I'm ready to see how that turns out. And I'm ready to see if Jude ends up winning her place at court or not. So I'm going to get back to reading. Probably be back again once I finish this book. But like I said, I'm definitely liking the read. It's an easy read, and it's keeping me entertained and wanting to turn the page. So I'll be back in another about 180 pages. I'll see you then. Hi everyone, just wanted to stop in. I am about 30 or 40 pages further than last time we talked. I just had an intuition about one of the characters in this book. I have no idea if I'm right about it or not, but hopefully we'll find out by the end of this book, and I'll let you know if I was correct. I just feel like one of the characters in here is not quite who they seem to be. I could be entirely wrong though. That would not be a uncommon thing. So we will find out once I reach the end. I think I have a little over 100 pages to go, and I will see you when I finish this book, and then we'll pick the second book after that. So hopefully I'll see you in about a little over an hour or two. All right, so I am almost through this book. I've gotten to the point where Jude, the main character, has to make a major decision. Her choices have all been laid out in front of her, and now it's time for her to choose which way she's going to go. I think I know which choice she's going to make, but we will find out. My last intuition from before was about 50% right. I had the right idea, but had the wrong character. But I will take that, and I'm going to go ahead and finish this book and see if I'm correct in what I think she's going to do. So this time I will really be back at the end of this book, and we will go ahead and choose the next book we're going to read. So I will see you soon. Alright, I am back. I have finished The Cruel Prince. I just completed it. I definitely love reading this book, and my intuition was right. I guess what Jude was going to do. There was an interesting way on how we got there, but I'm very happy because I did get it right. This book was definitely a fun read, a quick read. I liked the characters. I liked Jude, and then I liked the different love interests that were involved in this book. You definitely got to see a lot of different sides of many of these characters. This book was also a nice, quick read, in that I never really got bored or bogged down. Like, there was something always going on, and there was a lot of twists and turns in it that kept me wanting to know what was going to happen next, which, is always great for a book. I definitely want to read the next book in the series, which is The Wicked King, according to the back of the cover. So I'll definitely have to go out and buy that one at some point and get it onto one of my TBR lists. But yeah, I think I would give this book somewhere between a 4 and a 4.5. So I think we'll go with a 4.25. Like I said, I really like Jude as a character. You could definitely see her change throughout the book, which was nice. And like I said, lots of twists and turns. Never really knew what was coming up next, which is, what keeps you reading. So we are done with this book, so it's time to go to our second book of the series. These are the books that we have left, along with their Kindle counterparts. And these are the envelopes that we have, 1 through 4, since we use envelope 5 for The Cruel Prince. So let's ask Siri which envelope we should open next and see which book we are going to read. Hey Siri, choose a random number 1 through 4.
The answer is 4.
Alright, so apparently we are going backwards down the line. So Siri chose envelope number 4. So let's see what the prompt is and see which books match the prompt. So the prompt is a paranormal book. So that was these two books, which was the Ghost in the Snow and The Defects. And I think out of these two, this book is a whole lot longer than this one. And I've read this book once before, so I think I am going to go with The Defects. I think this is only a little over 200 pages, so it should be easy to get through in a quick read. I'm just not ready to kind of dive into this long of a book, especially one that I've already read and already know what's going on. It's a little bit harder to keep my attention for a 24-hour readathon in a book I haven't read before. So we're going to go with the Kindle book Defects, and I will check in with you when I'm about halfway through, or if I, find something interesting to say about it. I have no idea what this book is about, so I'm going in entirely not knowing anything about it. So hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully it's a quick read, and I will let you know when I get back. All right, we'll see you soon. So I am about 50 pages into my next book, The Defects, now, which is about 21% through the book. And I have now figured out what the book is about. It is a YA dystopian romance, though I haven't really reached the romance portion yet, so I assume that will be coming at some point soon. But basically, this book takes place on Earth, I'm guessing in the future, where humans have evolved into becoming dream travelers. Not all humans, but kind of like, I guess, I don't know, they split off and some of them became dream travelers. And what dream travelers are people who can, while they're sleeping, just kind of travel wherever they want. And usually with dream travelers, they also develop these secondary paranormal abilities, kind of like telekinesis or telepathy. Some people can start fires with their minds. Some people can see something and bring it to them through thin air with their mind as well. And most of these dream travelers are supposed to develop this ability when they're teenagers, but the main character, M, has yet to develop any of these abilities, even though she's a dream traveler. And she's not the only one. This small community that she's growing up in of dream travelers, there have been several adolescents who have not developed these secondary abilities yet. And I'm guessing this book is going to kind of go through why is to figure out why these adolescents haven't developed these secondary abilities, why what's going on that is causing this. Now, she does go to a lab to get injections that are supposed to kickstart these abilities, but nothing has happened. Her abilities have yet to manifest. She has met two boys who have been her friends since childhood, and I'm guessing that's where the romance part is going to come in, but right now the relationship is pretty platonic, and there's really no signs of romance with either of the guys, so we'll kind of see where that goes to as the book evolves. It is a YA fiction, so it's a pretty easy read, and the premise is interesting enough that I want to continue reading it to kind of see what is causing these people not to develop these abilities, and if there's something like nefarious, I think that's the word, going on at this lab where she's getting injections. So we will find out. And like I said, I'm 50 pages in. The book's only a little over 200 pages, so it shouldn't take me too long to read. And I'll either get back to you sometime later on in the book, or it may be when I reach the end of the book, depending on what happens, if there's anything, I want to pick up the camera and talk about. So we will find out. I'm going to get back to reading it. I got my Twitch streaming on in the background for background noise. So I'm all set to read the next 150 pages or so. So I just gotta go feed my cat for dinner, and we will get back to the reading, and I will be back and talk to you guys shortly. So I finished the second book of this little readathon, read and vlog video, and that was The Defects, which is book one in the Riverian series by Sarah Nofke. It was a pretty good read. Nothing like crazy or anything. I would probably give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It didn't have as many twists and turns as The Cruel Prince did, so a lot of the things you could kind of see coming, which, sometimes happen in these young adult dystopian books. I did like the characters. The main character, M, was fun to read, and her two secondary characters, Jude and Rogue, also were well-built characters. They had their own kind of personalities. And while the personalities didn't really change that much throughout the book, they were definitely like 3 distinct personalities for each of them, which is always good in a YA book. It doesn't really end on a cliffhanger, but there's definitely more that needs to be resolved, hence why it's probably book 1, and there's, I think, 2 or 3 books after this. We'll see if I go on to read them. I probably won't go on to read them straight away, but I think at one point I'll get back and read the second book and see how that goes. So yeah, I would give this book 3.5 stars. I enjoyed the characters. There just wasn't as much twisting and turning in the plot as The Cruel Prince was. Alright, so now it's time to choose our third book, which will probably be the last book for this video. We have, again, envelopes 1, 2, and 3. These are the 3 physical books that we have left, and then along with the Kindle books in here as well. So let's ask Siri to give us a random number and see which book we're going to read next. Hey Siri, can you give us a random number 1 through 3?
It's 3.
Alright, 3. So apparently we went down envelope 5, 4, now we're on 3. Alright, so here's envelope 3. That is a 3. And we are reading the books that go with the red, orange, or yellow on the cover. So that's this book here. We have Jewels in the Sun by Nora Roberts, and then the Kindle book was Small Kingdoms by Anastasia Hobbit. This was my book that was supposed to go with my Around the World Reading Challenge for the month of November, was Kuwait. I ended up going with a different book actually, so I'm not gonna be reading this book in November. So we will go with Jewels of the Sun by Nora Roberts. We've done a fantasy book, a dystopian science fiction book, and ending off in a romance book set in Ireland, I think is the perfect way to end this readathon. I have read this book before, but it's been a long time, but I remember that I really enjoyed reading it, so I think this is a perfect way to end. It's a nice, easy read, one that I've already read before as well. So I am excited that this was the choice, and I'm going to get into this, and I will be back with you. Like I said, I think I've said before, but I love romances set in Ireland, and I remember this book being pretty good. So I will get into it, and then I will be back and let you know how it's going. So I will see you soon for our last book for this video, Jewels of the Sun. So I'm about 200 pages in, a little halfway done with Jewels of the Sun by Nora Roberts. Like I said, this is a reread for me, but it's been such a long time since I've read it that it's almost like reading it brand new. There are parts that kind of jump out at me that I remember after I read, but for the most part, it's kind of like reading it for the first time, which I'm not going to complain about. It is set in Ireland, which is one of my favorite places for romance to be set at, and the 2 characters that follows I love. The first is Jude, who's a female. She's American, and she ends up going to Ireland she's like a scholar, so she goes to Ireland to study Irish folklore, and she wants to write a paper based on Irish folklore and kind of the psychology behind it. And then the man is Aidan Gallagher, who owns a pub in the town that her cottage is in, and of course they're complete opposites of each other. Jude's kind of a person who gets anxious when going out to doing new things or going to new places, which I totally get because I'm the same way. And Aidan's more this outgoing guy who wants to draw her out of her shell, basically. And then just to kind of add to the fun, there's a fairy tale kind of in the background where there's a ghost in the cottage that she's living in, that Aidan's able to tell her about the fairy tale and who this ghost is. And it's also based on a love story, so it's kind of like just brings the whole story around. So like I said, I'm about 200 pages in, and I have about 170 pages to go, so I will touch base with you when I get to the end, or if there's something interesting that occurs before then, I will let you know. Like I said, I'm really enjoying this book, and I'm glad that I ended up reading it for the last book of this video. So I will see you again soon. So I finished Jewels of the Sun by Nora Roberts. I actually finished it about a week ago, but as I was editing this video, I realized I never made a ending to it, and that is what we're going to do right now. So for Jewels of the Sun, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I love this book, and I really enjoyed the two main characters, Jude Murray and Aidan Gallagher. They were great romance leads, and I kind of like how they got together. I actually enjoyed the conflict at the end because it seemed like a more organic conflict than many of the other, many romance books that some of the conflicts just aren't believable. And I enjoyed the ending, though the ending was a little bit abrupt. And when it did end, I wouldn't have expected it to end at the place it did. But there are 2 more books in this series, so we'll see what happens in the next 2. I'm definitely going to read them. I know I used to own all 3, but I'm having trouble finding the second one, so I'm going to go back through all my books and see if I can track it down. So like I said before, I really enjoyed the 2 main characters, Jude Murray and Aidan Gallagher. I really liked how Jude Murray went outside her comfort zone to move to Ireland and then ends up writing a book. And I liked how Aidan Gallagher supported her when she was doubting herself. So I think the next 2 books follow the 2 other Gallagher siblings, Sean and I think it's Brienne. I'm not 100% sure about that. But I think I know who Sean's love interest is going to be. I have no idea who Brienne's is, but I guess we'll find out in the future. And yeah, so that's the 3rd book of this readathon. So I think we did a pretty good job. We got through 3 books. We got through The Cruel Prince, Jewels in the Sun, and then The Defects. And I think they were all pretty enjoyable books. So in the future, I'll be releasing my December game TBR sometime in the beginning of December. And then I'm also going to once again try to do a readathon this time. This video obviously became more like a reading vlog, as it was over like 3 or 4 days I ended up reading these books just because of other stuff that I had going on. But in December, I'm going to try again to do a 24-hour readathon. It's going to be focused on winter holiday romances that release either this year or the year before. And there'll be 8 books to kind of choose from. So I'm excited about that. We'll see how that goes. And otherwise, I enjoyed doing this and I enjoyed the 3 books, and it definitely helped me get through my November TBR. So I think there's only 2 more prompts that are left, and I'm reading one of the books for one of the prompts right now. So hopefully I'll get through six books this month. We'll see. But otherwise, I will see you in my next video. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you have any thoughts on any of these books or how I should randomly choose which books I'm going to read in December for that readathon, let me know in the comments below. Hope everyone has enjoyed their November reads, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.